Hey, good morning to everybody. A happy Thursday to you. It's Daryl here. It is bright and freaking early, man. You know it. It's 3:30 a.m. If it's 3:30, it must be Daryl. 3:30 a.m. Yeah, that's stupid. It's 3:30 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, the story that I picked to talk about this morning, out of all the stories, all the political stories, the social stories, everything going on today, this is the story that I picked. The links will be down below. The actual video that I'm going to discuss is right down below. There's a link to WFLA, and there's going to be, I think it was on TMZ, I'm sorry, too. And that link, I'll try to put that link down below too. And it's a video. It's a fairly long video. It's probably at least 5 minutes, I think. I didn't look at the exact time. Okay, the video is of a plane circling in the air. Now this flight, I think this was last week. You guys all remember Fort Lauderdale, Florida had an incredible amount of rain and the airport was closed last week. And it doesn't say this in the article, but I have a feeling this played a part in this whole story. And the flight originated in Baltimore, Maryland. Okay, and it was going to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Apparently, the plane had been circling over Fort Lauderdale for 40 minutes when this video was taken. There's a baby crying somewhere on the plane with two adults. We don't really see the baby or the two adults. I didn't in this video. I didn't see it. And besides for that, there's a couple, a black man and I think his wife is white. Sometimes people ask why I say people's races. It's gonna play a part because this man did bring up race. So I'm gonna talk about it. Of course, I have to talk about his race. So it's a black man complaining here. He's screaming. And there's flight attendants, and I'm not sure if the pilot, I don't think it's the pilots, but I think it's a senior flight attendant or whatever talking to him. And he's screaming. He's losing it. And he actually says something along these lines. If that was a white baby, this wouldn't be happening. Yeah, yeah, he actually says this. Okay, where do I start here? Okay. When I first started a YouTube channel, YouTube gives a lot of suggestions. If you're gonna do a YouTube channel, you have to provide the people with something. Give them something. Give them humor, entertainment, like Bo the Fifth Column, amazing knowledge and his view of things. Just he astounds me. With me, it's I've had commenters say, is Daryl going to say that, because a lot of times I'll pick stories that I could relate to. Something that happened, if it has the same thing happen to me, that's a story I'm going to pick. There's a reason why I'm always saying, well, that happened to me, because those are the stories that I pick, because that's what I try to give you, my perspective. If this happened to me, my experience, that's what I try to share with you. Okay, I'm not going to say that I was ever on a plane with a screaming baby, but my last 16 years in recovery has given me a much more serene view of the world. And I swear to God, it's made me a much happier person than I was for the first 40 years of my life. And this doesn't have to do with drugs. This might have been part of the reason why I used is because I concentrated more on myself and what I thought was fair. Let me say this, the word fair, I cannot stand that word. When you were born, nobody ever handed you a booklet and said, okay, these are the rules of life. This is what's fair. This is what isn't fair. No, fair is irrelevant. Nothing is fair. When I lost my father when I was 9 years old, was that fair? No. There's nothing fair about any of this. Fair is a nonsense term. Don't use the word fair with me. Okay. So that's what I'm going to try to provide you guys with my view of this. All right. Let me say this now. I'm going to go political on you next. I think this guy is, he doesn't look like your typical MAGA guy. Not the typical guy that I would picture. But I get the feeling that's the kind of, that he might be a MAGA voter, Republican. This is my opinion. I thought about this. Honestly, what I see, like I've talked about a commercial, the Hempana commercial. A lot of times when I look at the MAGA crowd, the MAGA set, they're angry. They're complaining about other people. And when they complain about other people, now you can say, well, Daryl, what about BLM? They were complaining too. They were angry too. I was like, what's the difference here? And the difference that I came up with this morning is a lot of times the MAGA side, the Republican side, will complain that other people have too many rights, that it's not fair to them, that these people are getting special treatment. that these people are getting extra money, that I worked harder and they shouldn't get this. They want to take away stuff from other people. That's my opinion. Whereas liberal people or Democrats seem to want to bring everybody up to the same level and give people more equal rights. These people deserve the right to be able to do this, to live how they want, to dress how they want, to love who they want, to read books to who they want, as long as, it's in the realms of sanity. And this guy complaining about this, something that he cannot change. That drives me crazy about this. All right, this is what I'm going to talk about now. When I first got into recovery, one thing that has helped me immensely is I realized that people are going to do what people are going to do. I cannot change what somebody else is going to say, what somebody else is going to do, what somebody else is going to dress. There's things that I just cannot control. And I have to accept that. The serenity prayer. Yes, I'm going to say the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Did you ever drive down the highway or you're in a car and the person driving gets angry and he sees somebody go through a red light or somebody cut him off. So he gets right on their backside. They speed up. He speeds up. I'm going to teach him a lesson. You can't do that. And that just drives me crazy. First of all, it has nothing to do with you. First of all, you don't know what's going on in this person's life. It's not your job to teach anybody a lesson. And secondly, you cannot change how somebody acts. You're not going to teach them a lesson. You're just going to make the situation worse, really. 99.9% of the time, you're just going to make the situation worse. You're going to pull yourself into their bad situation, which is what happens on this plane. Okay, so in this video, he is complaining. He says that he's had his earphones on. He was trying to sleep. Now, if the plane's I've been on a plane quite a few times. When I've dozed off. When the plane's gonna land, you wake up. You're not going back to sleep, even if it's circling. You're ready to deplane. You want to see what's going on. You're circling. It's not a time to sleep. He might have been asleep before, but I highly doubt that while he's circling over, being delayed, that he's still trying to sleep. This has helped me before. Everybody hates being in traffic jams, right? So since I've been clean and sober, I get in a traffic jam. And a lot of the most aggravating things in life have to do with being in a car. And when I'm in a traffic jam, there's been a moment where all of a sudden it just reaches a boiling point, like this guy in this video, where I'm like, I just can't deal with this for one more second. I have to get, the traffic is moving like 5 feet every half hour. And you're like, I can't freaking this has to stop right now, and that's the point this guy has reached. It's insanity, really. It's illogical. It's insane. It's just going to make this situation worse. Like somebody just freaking out in their car and driving off into the median, which happens. This is what I do, and I swear to God, this is a true story. I'll look around my car. There's a ton of things in my car, like unorganized paperwork, my registration, my car insurance, all of my papers and everything. And there's times when I know I have to take like the old insurance cards out, the old registration out, keep everything up to date, clean the car up, get the cups out, the McDonald's. I don't need a McDonald's, but clean up the car. And I'll start doing that. I'll look around the car, and there's a ton of things that I have been putting off that I could do that could occupy my time and my mind and make me feel so much better that I'm actually accomplishing something while I'm waiting. And the time goes by quicker, and it's amazing. Your mind settles right back down because you're distracting yourself, but you're actually accomplishing something during that time that you would have just put off any other time. So it's a really good thing. Okay, well, let's get to this race thing. I gave this some serious thought, and this is why I think this guy is kind of a MAGA type guy. That's maybe. Remember this, back in the 80s when I was dealing and using, I was a Republican. I considered myself a Republican. I'm not proud of this, but I voted for Ronald Reagan in 88. I think I was I was 20 years old. You know, so I haven't always felt this way. Okay, so he says if that was a white baby, this wouldn't be happening. You know, and I thought about that. He's saying that, you know, this baby is getting special treatment, which is kind of ridiculous. It's a baby. You know, I really gave this some thought, and there might be some racist, you know, there might be people, if it was, the situation was reversed, if it was a black couple, black baby, and white people, there probably is some people that would say, why can't, you know, look at, you know, they would blame the baby crying on the color of the skin. They would. But does this guy realize that right at that moment, he is being that racist person? He's being that exact racist person, that same person, you know, that he's complaining about, that he's saying that exists. He's being that person right at this moment. Here's another thing that came to my mind. You know, the guy taking this video is laughing. And that's the kind of position I'm in now. You have to take, you know, there's a moment where you get so angry, but you have to realize this is a situation you cannot control. You have no control over. And this is something you have to accept it. And the sooner you accept it and alter your view and change your motivation, the happier you will be, and the happier everybody else on the plane will be, because he's just making things so much worse by screaming on his plane. And a lot of times, like in my head, I think, well, I almost start laughing because, you know, so many bad things have happened in my life. I'd ask myself, you know, what else could possibly go wrong now? You know, like turbulence, the plane flipping up, you know, how much worse could things get? And that would make me start to laugh as the person's voice complaining just gets higher and higher, and he just gets more ridiculous. I would probably tend to start laughing. Here's another view of this. It's a baby. It's life. It's a beautiful thing. It really is a beautiful thing. A young life, the beginning of a young life, a young, innocent life. It doesn't matter what color the skin is. Now, think about this. It could be, this is something I tell myself often, like when I had hip surgery, back surgery, it could be worse. It could always be worse. Always consider yourself lucky. You're still above ground. You're still breathing. A lot of people aren't. Picture this, 9/11. Instead of having that youthful baby crying on that plane, then you think that's such a terrible thing, it's bothering you so much. What if you were on one of those 9/11 planes where it wasn't life and innocence, it was the opposite of that, death and mayhem and destruction? What if that was the case? Because it does happen. It's happened before, and God forbid it could happen again. Consider yourself lucky. Consider it's a young, innocent life. You gotta laugh at it. The baby has no control. The parents have no control over this. When he gets off the plane, he gets arrested in the end. He rationalizes that he can yell because this is his rationalization for yelling, because there was two adults with the baby. Because they say, look, dude, it's a baby. And he says, well, I could yell because there's two adults that were with the baby. You know, and that just doesn't make any sense. You're lucky. Life isn't fair. Sometimes you just got to laugh, you know, and you can't control everything. And things could always be worse. Think of those things. And what can you do? What can you do with that time that you wouldn't normally do, that you could get done? What could that guy be doing that he's been putting off right in his lap there? I'm sure there's something in his wallet, on his clothes or whatever, polish his shoes, whatever. You know, take up your time. Accomplish something that you would have never gotten accomplished before. Just some thoughts, some things that I am trying to give to you in this video instead of just rehashing a news story. Have a good Thursday.